these are national numbers. So this is in the United States. This is cocaine deaths, and this is, they call it psychostimulants, but methamphetamine is included in that category, and most of these deaths are psychostimulants. So remember when we were talking about that 2005, that boom with home meth labs, when you saw there were like 23,000 home meth labs, use was high at the time. Only 1,400 people died of a methamphetamine or a psychostimulant overdose. In 2018, that number increased to 12,678. So that's quite a jump in that time period. So what is the meth today? Why is it killing people? And is it different? I mean, are there different administration routes now that didn't exist in 2005 that are different? Is it because of the purity and the potency? So those are some things that we need answers to so that we can appropriately help prevent this and address it so that we can make a difference. This is a brand new slide that just came out. So when you take a look at this slide, this is methamphetamine admission. So methamphetamine use disorder, someone goes to treatment for methamphetamine use disorder, and these are the other substances involved. So if they also say they're using alcohol, those are the numbers. If they're also saying they use meth and marijuana, cocaine, look at the heroin number, right? Because we see that. Don't you all see that? Are we all seeing that they're using the opioids and methamphetamine in combination, the twin epidemic? So, and look at the West number. It's crazy. So this is the Western United States in terms of methamphetamine and heroin. In fact, they say nearly 50% of those in substance use disorder treatment for methamphetamine are also have an opioid use disorder. So would you say, those of you that work in treatment, is that also what you're seeing? Is it that high? Is that what you're seeing?
No.
Yeah, from treatment. Are you seeing that as well? Would you say almost 50%? No. Some of you are? No. Just methamphetamine. Okay. All right. That's good to know. Because in Arizona, we are seeing this. We see the trend. So what we see is that they're using methamphetamine as a drug reversal, as a reversal drug if naloxone isn't available. We're also seeing them use methamphetamine and heroin together because they want to enjoy the opioid, and so they use almost like a speedball kind of in combination between the methamphetamine and the opioid. The other thing is that if they can't get an opioid and they go into withdrawal, they're using it to try to get through that, to try to ward off the pain associated with some of the sickness from withdrawal. So that's what we're hearing anecdotally from those that are using both of those substances. So when we look at methamphetamine seizures, and this is for HIDAs across the United States, that's not a good trend line, those of you that work in research. And also when you take a look here in terms of, these are percent changes in kilograms that are seized. So right here, this where you live, there's been a big change in seizure. So number one, law enforcement is doing a heck of a job because they're seizing a lot more of it. But sad because there's probably a lot more of it getting through also than in the past. So that's where that is. Now this is from 2017, and California in 2017, I have Arizona up there because that's where I'm from, but we ranked 3rd, and you ranked 15 for psychostimulant methamphetamine-related deaths. This is 2017. You're 15th in the country for people dying from psychostimulants, overdose deaths.
And you guys, and Arizona's 3rd?
We're 3rd.
Is it because of population? Is it a percentage?
Well, it's rate per population, yeah, so it's per 100,000. Yeah, so this is the rate. So we're at 8.2 and you're at 4.6. Alaska is at 9.1 and Hawaii 7.4, and then, West Virginia.
And those are the only overdoses you can tease out, but it's just solely attributed to
psychostimulants, yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. And I'm just going to show you a couple more just Arizona pieces here, just because I'm going to walk you through the case study. So this is what we were seeing in Arizona in terms of where our psychostimulant overdose deaths were going compared to the United States, and we're like, hey, well, that's a problem. And I want to just share that when you take a look at seizures and you take a look at deaths, they're the same, right? When you see more seizures, you see more overdose deaths. And so I wouldn't be surprised that if here because there have been more seizures, that your psychostimulant, your methamphetamine deaths do go up. I would not be surprised by that. So oftentimes we see that. And then also to take a look at if you have public health data that shows what is, and maybe you as a medical examiner, what's the biggest combination, what's the most common drug combination do you see in an overdose death?
It's going to be meth and usually an opioid, but individual, I don't know, fentanyl's really coming up.
Yeah.
So, something like that.
Yeah, so he's saying meth or meth and opioids, and so that's exactly what we saw. We saw heroin and methamphetamine. That was the top combination in overdoses. Now the darker red is fatal and the lighter is non-fatal. So you can see that methamphetamine and heroin, that was the largest drug combination in overdoses, fatal and non-fatal. So it'd be something interesting to run something like that through your health department to find out what's the most common drug combinations in overdose deaths. Now, this is Chief Rodney Irby, and he is the assistant chief for the Tohono O'odham Nation. So he usually comes with me, but they're in a budgeting process right now in the Tohono O'odham Nation, and I asked him to join me, but unfortunately he couldn't. And so what Chief Irby did is we developed this methamphetamine toolkit several years ago, and he said, Shelley, I need something on our nation. Our residents aren't aware of this. We need something to get out to the public, to talk with people, and we need resources. So I had developed this. I met with Chief Irby, and we trained some of his folks in Tohono O'odham. And this is just a little bit about the Indian nation that he oversees. So it's an interesting one. It's divided into districts, and part of the nation actually is in Mexico. So they have a lot of tribal members that go back and forth, over the border in Mexico. And so there are, again, a number of different districts in the Tohono O'odham Nation. It is the second largest American Indian nation in the country, second only to the Navajo Nation. So it's a very, very large area. They're one of the first native task forces developed under HIDA. They've done some amazing work. And these are their focus areas. And I want you to remember this one, the community impact cases, because we're going to talk about that, and there's going to be some interesting stuff coming up in their data. So Chief Irby came to me and said, Shelley, the storm is coming. We feel it. We're seeing it. Our patrols are making a lot of stops and finding methamphetamine in the cars. They're finding, methamphetamine use. They're finding domestic violence. And we think that the common denominator here is methamphetamine. And so what we did is I met with them, like I said. We trained them. But they started going out, and they started kind of raising some awareness. They started meeting with people. And I'm just saying this because I'm being totally honest with you, is that people were kind of like, we don't really feel that yet. We don't really feel like it's impacting us yet. And so they also had some tolerance to cocaine use and alcohol use. And then, again, they weren't feeling the impact. So he said, we did it, and we went around, and we talked about it. But we really didn't start seeing people paying attention until the middle of the storm came in late 2016. He said that's when when the community said, wow, we have to do something about this because all of this was happening. They had suicide increases, overdose increases, domestic violence. And so then what happened after that is that after the community saw the full effects of methamphetamine, then what happened? You're responsive, right? Unfortunately, we are reactive. Once they saw what was happening, they reintroduced Meth 360 with tribal leadership. And then what they did is they went to each district and they got the district leadership to go out and to do the program along with Chief Irby and his folks. So they got the buy-in from the community, and then they started getting requests for presentations, and the community responded in a big way.